Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome to the FactorCareers.com live podcast show where we discuss our training program. We speak to our students and prospective students, and we hear their issues, their successes, their progressions forward. We pool our resources together as a group, and we pass on helpful tips and tricks to get your careers as factoring business brokers back on track and progressing forward as quickly as possible. And today, we want to talk about a couple of those tips and tricks by covering the 5 P's of the sales call. Because you can't sign the deal until there's one on the table, right? So I want to start with a quote from General Dwight D. Eisenhower, who later became president, so he knew what he was talking about. But in this quote, he says, "In preparing for battle, I have always found plans to be useless, but planning is indispensable." And that makes a lot of sense because rarely will a call we make go exactly as planned, right? But whether we are calling our prospects over the phone, writing them an email, or holding a face-to-face meeting with them, planning needs to be a big and indispensable part of that process. After all, don't we owe it to them to be clear in our communication with them? I mean, how else are they going to understand the abilities of our service to solve their company's needs? I have worked in many sales offices over the years, and what I found is this: all too often, the majority of sales personnel are failing to take their preparation time seriously. Those at the top of the chain consistently spend more prep time before a sales call than their counterparts do. And those at the bottom of that chain prepare very little, if at all. All we have to do is look at the most successful in any room to see that proper planning produces the results. And while it might be true that plans we make are useless during that call itself, being prepared for any contingencies that might come along during the call and knowing what we need to do in order to react to those things, well, as the general said it best, that's indispensable. Proper planning prevents poor performance. The 5 P's. In sales, we thrive on competition with one another. And don't make any mistake, as a broker, you are in sales. We seem to have a his success fuels our drive to do better type of mentality as salespeople. A salesperson is truly a remarkable an interesting creature to behold, after all. But true professionals understand they must always be learning and adapting in order to thrive in this field. And that's why we need to work together. We continuously feed off each other's energy and newly acquired knowledge. Ask yourself how often you've approached or have been approached by a fellow salesperson to find out what secrets you're using to get results. So, for those of you who are planning, and you plan out your details and your reactions prior to your sales calls, well, hey, bravo. Bravo. Help the other folks understand that importance too. For those of you that need help, and I know there's some out there because I've gotten the questions, don't worry about that because I am about to lay it all out for you right here. Number 1, you have to figure out what's in a plan after all. So planning your sales call starts with understanding where you are in your sales process. Okay? Take a moment to assess the history of your previous interactions with this prospect. Think about what your next logical step needs to be and where you'd like to take that prospect during this meeting. If this is your first introduction, for example, plan out how you're going to introduce yourself and how you're going to introduce your service in a way that's going to entice them to want more information from you. Okay? Plan your qualifying questions if you need to. Ask them a couple things. Say, hey, do you have work from other businesses that you provide that you have to invoice? Or do you sell your products directly to the consumers that you invoice? Because that's going to change what you can do for them, if anything at all, depending on who you're hooked up with. So you have to know where you want to go with it in advance. Plan your qualifying questions. Number 2, think about what you need to accomplish with the call. Are you looking to explain your services? Are you looking to close a sale at that point? Perhaps you're just gathering some information to identify your prospects' pain points so that you can help them fix them. You got to know what your plan is. Number 3, think about what questions you need to ask in order to gather that necessary information. Write out a list for easy reference if possible. List out your possible questions, objections that they might come up with, and then how you would address those objections if they do come up. Finally, think over how you're going to segue to a trial close or to the closing stage if that's where you happen to be in the process. Because trial closes make a world of difference. I've known many salespeople over the years that will spend countless hours working a prospect and building it up and talking about their product or their service or whatever they got. And they will just talk your ear off about it, and they will never ask you to buy it. Why spend all that energy and then not ask the prospect to buy it? Doing a trial close, and if you're not familiar with the concept of a trial close, because I know not everybody that's coming into this course has a sales background. A trial close is a buy-in where you're getting somebody to agree with you. For example, you give them a feature and then you ask them, does that matter to you? Or can you agree with that? Can we agree that that would help your business? Well, yes, I agree with that. That's a trial close. And every time you get him to say yes, you get him a little closer to signing that deal. Okay? So you should fit 6 or 7 trial closes into a sales presentation. Get them to participate in your discussion with them. Don't just keep talking. Ask them for their opinions. Ask them to validate what you're saying. A good example of this would be when you are on a call doing a presentation with one of your clients and you're talking to the president of that company or the owner of that company, right? And sometimes they're not necessarily paying attention. They're checking their emails or whatever. They always like to do more than one thing at the same time, right? And you're trying to get them on track with you because you might be losing them. Ask them a question. You say, I know that you're very busy and I don't want to impact too much of your time. These things need to happen on a timely schedule. And I can get a hold of Angela or whoever they have that does their books. And I can work this out with them and just keep you in the loop. If we worked it that way, would that be the best solution for you? And get him to say yes. See, because if he says yes, what does that mean? That means that he thinks that this might be something that they're going to do. If he says, well, I don't really care, then you don't really have much going on. You got to build a lot more value, right? You got to build up a little bit more in your service because you're not getting him. But he says, oh, thank you. Yeah, that'd be great. Because I do have some other things I'm doing. I'm trying to pay attention. I apologize. Now you've got a sale pending. Okay? But then you ask him a follow-up trial close. And you say, yeah, no problem. I'd love to work with Angela on that. And because all I need to do is get this deal here signed. And I can get together with her. We'll get all the paperwork put together. We'll put the funding package together for you. And then I will come over and I will talk to you about it. And we'll go over it in detail if you prefer to make sure that you guys have everything ready before I submit it. How does that sound? There's your trial close. How does that sound? And then his response will be, that sounds great, most likely. Okay? And that's another buy-in, another yes. That sounds great is another yes. You need about 6 or 7 yeses to get him to sign that form. So you throw those trial closes in there as often as you can. Because once you got the deal, that's money in your pocket. Before you got that deal, you got nothing going on. So you need to have it signed. You sign it with trial closes, and then you close at the end. Okay? Take your time with planning, folks. Always remember the 5 Ps before making any sales call. Doing so will ensure your prospects will understand you better. It'll improve the impact of your message, and it will greatly reduce the resistance you meet along the way. Remember, folks, at FactorCareers.com, we are more than a training program. We are a community. Reach out to your fellow students and come to these meetings. Ask your questions. Feed off each other's energy. We all work separately, but that does not mean we need to be separated. Support for each other is this program's greatest strength, in my opinion. For those of you who are thinking of getting enrolled and joining us on this amazing career path, thank you for taking the time to evaluate us. Personally, I appreciate it when you take the time to do that because we also evaluate you. Remember that working for yourself is not for everyone. But if you do feel that this speaks to you, then please reach out and speak to us as well. Thank you again, everyone, for being with us. For more information about how you can get enrolled in the $1 Million Broker Training Program here at FactorCareers.com, visit our website at FactorCareers.com/getstarted. Take care, everyone, and I am Chris Miller reminding you to always keep smiling.